Trending. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, what happened this week in under 10 minutes? There's been a lot of big things. We got to talk it. First cab off the rank. RIP Orlando Sanchez.
Big O passed away.
Big O. A lot of people saying RIP Big O, great champion, all these things. His cause of death has not been confirmed.
Right.
People are saying it's a heart attack. I had heard a rumor, something nefarious, but no one knows. It doesn't matter where you look on the internet. It's actually really hard to find out. Now, Big O is kind of a controversial figure because he's very real. Everyone's like, he's a real one.
He's like a Nate Diaz
He
of the Jits world.
He is, because he kind of rolls around with a bit of a crew.
Yep.
He's got
that Southern Cali kind of vibe.
jacked up homies.
Yep.
And he's not afraid to just...
Wears the glasses.
He does.
Actually, look, I don't really know his jiu-jitsu all that much, but all I know is ever since I watched Stuart Cooper ADCC highlight videos,
Yes.
Orlando Sanchez always there. And you're like, man, look at this tubby guy, fucking like a steamroller.
Cannonball.
Yeah, and I think he won the 2015 99 kilo, which
He
is
did.
terrifying thinking of him at like under 100 kilos.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I would, I wouldn't have to put on that much weight to be in that division. I'm like,
Right.
fuck facing a guy like that.
No, it would be terrible.
But,
And a
watching-
savage competitor.
Yeah, and watching his highlights, I'm like, fuck, you got to respect the style of jiu-jitsu.
And I believe he was also an IBJJF world champion
Wow.
on stage 2. So, yeah, he passed away. No one really knows why. It's very recent. It's very raw. Thoughts to the family.
Yeah, 3 kids, I think, 40 years old. Awful stuff.
Too soon.
Yeah,
Too soon.
condolences to the people, friends and fam.
Yes, sir. This is a bit belated, but we've got to give a shout out to an Aussie doing something awesome. Razor Rob Wilkinson.
A Tasmanian homeboy who just became the PFL light heavyweight champion.
Amazing.
World Championship.
Yeah.
Good job.
$1 million check.
I got a homeboy. I don't think you've met him. Khan Sandy owns a gym, HTC down in Hobart.
Okay.
He's a training partner of Rob's.
Right.
And he was there, I think, in his corner when he won.
Amazing.
And Khan was, fucking psyched, obviously.
Of course.
And it was a beautiful thing to see. I know Rob, he's been in the MMA game for a long time. Had a brief stint in the UFC.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Fought a guy that no one's heard of called Israel Adesanya, I believe.
It can happen.
Yep. But yeah, he's been kicking ass. It looks like in the last little while in the PFL.
Yeah.
And takes the championship belt.
Man, the striking's dangerous, hey?
And the moustache is on point, brother.
Oh, he looks good in the
He's
moustache.
a good-looking man.
He's
Good-looking
done well.
moustache. I'd like to see Nicholas Marangali with the moustache. That's all I'm saying.
I cannot concur. Shout out Razor Rob Wilkinson, you legend.
You know what's actually inspiring about that, and this is, I think, what people don't see, is that Guy fought in the UFC. I think had 2 losses in the UFC.
Okay.
Before that, had a stint in Aussie MMA scene.
Yep.
And then, went back, made it to the UFC. Didn't work out.
Sure.
Fought back Tasmanian, Australian events from what I can tell. If he hadn't have won that championship, we wouldn't be talking about him.
Not necessarily.
Right? And this is the grind that that you go on in any athlete, particularly in MMA, where it's like,
Yeah.
probably no one's ever going to know your name.
That's tough.
And you take losses, and then it'd be really easy to go, I'm fucking out. I'm going to go become a banker or some shit.
Yeah.
But to actually stay in the game, go, all right, how do I make the most of this pivot, do this thing. We might see him back in the UFC, perhaps. No one says he has to do it, but it's just cool to see that someone can go through that, whatever that is, like a 10-year journey of ups and downs and still be on the path.
Still be able, and it's so hard in MMA because as soon as you start to take losses, it hurts your kind of street value.
Yeah.
And he's been able to come through. So awesome for Australia, awesome for Tasmania. Shout out. Now, this is a funny little thing. So I don't know exactly what we can quantify this as, but I'm probably not as... I'm less likely to intervene if I see irresponsible behaviour. I tend to just judge someone in my head. Joe, on the other hand, has taken a stand lately, and we did talk about this around cigarette butts, people littering. And in Australia, you actually can cop pretty big fine for flicking a cigarette butt. And it's also it's pretty bad behaviour, And it's interesting when Joe brought it to my attention that he was, taking time and energy and putting himself on the line a little bit.
On the line.
Hey, man, calling
people out.
You dropped this.
Yeah.
You need to take this and put this somewhere. Because maybe that could be a fight.
Yeah, it's not received well by the people I'm telling it to.
No, that could be a headbutt. And so I kind of was like, I was a bit concerned. I'm like, is it worth it? You know what I mean? Like, but I was like, that's cool. Like, I respect that. But I also don't like littering. I can't.
It's awful.
Just from a purely environmental perspective, right? This is just like, don't do that. There are bins, or if there's no bin, there's probably a bin where you're going. Just hold it until you get there.
Yeah, people use it as a flex. It's almost like a, oh, look how many fucks I don't give kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think with cigarette smokers, traditionally, it's always just been a bit of a habit. You know, back in the day, it's like, man, it's 2022. Come on.
Yeah.
It's not cool, right? It's like
super
flex in other ways.
Yeah, it's not even a flex. It's just like, don't be a dick. It's that simple. There was a young guy, tradie, in front of us.
Well, so we were at the cafe. We went to have breakfast on Monday. and then we're walking back past the corner store that sells cigarettes.
Yeah,
and
and
cigarettes and shit.
He just, I have no idea. Dude's just got his breakfast or doing what he's doing. Young dude, for all intensive purposes, must have just bought a vape. Takes the cardboard box off, literally just throws it, and the wind carries it, and it literally blows straight into me. And I'm like, what? Then the plastic, and then now the rubber bit off the top, and he's just throwing it over his shoulder, and I'm like, nah. And Joe's actually trying to communicate something to me. I'm not listening.
I'm not noticing that this was. I saw the thing. I saw you pick it up. Good on you. Pick up the rubbish. But I didn't know that cat had thrown it.
Bro, I was sparked. I was like, what? Maybe the caffeine is kicking in. I don't know. I picked it up. I picked up the cardboard box. I picked up the plastic wrapping. I put it inside. I got the little rubber cap. I put that in. And Joe's like trying to say something to me, but I was like in the zone. I'm like, nah, I'm giving this.
JT, he's not really giving me much response.
I'm not listening. I was like, nah. And I'm beeline. I'm walking a bit faster. And I'm like, come on, Joe. And he's like, oh, we're crossing the road. And I'm like, we get to a critical point. Joe's still talking. I'm not listening. And I'm like, we're going to have a Joey moment right now. He's like, what? That could mean so many things. What do you mean? He looked at me and I'm
about to say something smart.
Am I about to limit someone's creativity right now? So I was like, nah, I'm going to. And the guy he just met up with a mate just outside the auto mechanic, which is on the same street as where we are. That's not where they were working. They're going wherever they're going. And I was like, he's about to cross the road. I'm going to lose this guy. So
now's my time.
I was like, hey, bro, just like not friendly. Get his attention. He stops, but he's got a pie in one hand. I think a Coke in the other. His hands are full.
He's ready for a big day.
He's like
fresh e-cigarette.
Yeah, he's going to get his vibe on. And I was just like, hey mate, you dropped something. And I was like fully ready. I'm like, if he swings, we'll fight. No qualm. And he had a mate next to him, and his mate looked way rougher than him. He's like a young guy, just rat's tail, whatever.
Had the look.
He had the look. And I just stuffed it into his jacket pocket. And he was like, oh. And I think Joe was waiting for me to get dropped. He was like,
no, knock out. But I'm like, ooh, what's going to happen? Because I didn't know you were approaching. You weren't like, how I'm about to go tell this motherfucker. You had the right, and then you're like, hang on a sec. And I'm like, oh shit, something's on.
And so I just was like, no, I'm not staying friendly on this. And actually, I'm down to fight right now. Like if he really hates what I've done here and holding him accountable and he wants to swing on me, okay, I'll fight for that. I'll fight. And so he didn't. He just kind of, he did. I think he was worried because I spoke very unfriendly.
Yeah.
It's like when a dog's
You're
bad.
approached with
It's like when a dog's bad and you go, bad dog. Like you give him the strong voice, you give him the loud bark. I was like, hey bro, you dropped this. I was like, stuffed in his pocket. And I just said, do better. I just walked off. And Joe was just like, oh yeah.
My guy, apprentice.
My guy, yeah. So it was cool. It wasn't about feeling good for doing it, but like Joe was saying, it's like if I didn't say anything, I just watched this guy be a dirtbag, I would feel shit.
Yeah, you carry that for days. You'd be
Yeah.
like, fuck, I should have said something.
Yeah, because you know it's not right. It's not in line with your values.
And now that you've done it once, you will have to do it every time because the bad feeling that you'll get from not doing it only amplifies. It's a curse, but it's a curse that the world needs.
Yeah. So that was a funny thing that happened, but it was inspired by Joe's social justice.
Yeah. So this is all stemmed from me and my conquest against Siggy Butt Chuckers, and you can find out about that. You can follow the chronicles of the Siggy Butt Chucking events on my Instagram. We'll keep talking about it.
We will.
We'll update you on the next one. Thank you guys for listening.
Peace, crew.